Adriana, welcome to Live Your Life with Purpose podcast. I'm super excited to talk. We've known each other a little while through friends of the family. My wife's cousin, and you guys are really close friends, right? You know, you and Omar go back a little bit, right? Is that
My husband and Omar go way back.
yeah, yeah, excellent. And so I think that we might have met once or twice when we were, in Florida, but I'm super excited to talk uh, and really get into some of the things that drive you, because I know that one thing that from looking at your profile and talking to you, I know that you're really health and fitness driven, as well as just helping others kind of have this mindset of trying to achieve all that they want, right? And so, was that a mindset that you developed early from parents? Was that a mindset that you just naturally kind of evolved into?
I've always had a I'm gonna do this mindset.
Yeah.
So from as early as going to back to school at the age of 34,
Mm,
and my second pregnancy, I was like, I'm going back to school, and I did a 4-year degree in 2 years. And
I
I was
love
like, I'm
that.
going to get a bachelor's degree because my daughters deserve for their mom to have a bachelor's degree. And so it was always like that mindset. I have to do this. I'm going to do this. And, I'll do it to the
And
best of my ability.
and once you put your mind to doing something and take that first step, the rest is it's hard work, but it's so much easier to once you get started,
Yeah.
and then just developing that mindset. Because right as soon as you start to prove to yourself that, hey, I wanted to do this and then I did it, um, that helps with, okay, well, what else do I want to do, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so how has that led? I know that you have a few different businesses. You have a daycare, right?
Yeah.
And
I have
how
a
did
preschool.
that, yeah, how did that business evolve for you?
Well, when my daughter was young, or 3, 4 years old, she used to go to a daycare, and I didn't like the way she was treated.
Mm,
From friends that were saying, "Hey, they did this to your daughter," and I was like, "Oh, I don't like that." I found out my daughter through that process that she was autistic,
mm.
so it just led me to really focus on. I want to open up a preschool where I can give these children an education, not just watch TV all day long, have them learn. And it was driven because of my daughter.
Yeah, well, and certainly it's like, okay, well, you want, if my daughter's not getting something that she needs, right, then it's like, okay, well, what can I do to do that? So yeah, opening up a business
I
where
did it myself.
you can do that for your daughter, and then do that for other children, and now start to make an income where it's like, okay, all of these things can work. And I think that that's important, right? Like, you can do these things that have meaning and purpose for you and still find a way to make money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you do that in a few different ways, right? So what are some of the other businesses that you have?
It's just the preschool and the health and fitness business,
Mm,
um,
mm.
network marketing.
Yeah. So with the health and fitness, was that something that you grew up in? So I know for me, like, I was always involved in sports through my younger years, but then I stopped kind of later on in life, and it really wasn't until the past kind of 6 years that it's really kind of come back for me. How was that for you?
I was anti gym, anti exercise, anti
Yeah.
everything. And in my mid 30s, I started getting a lot of anxiety and panic attacks. And, basically just checking myself into the hospital because of all of that anxiety. I thought something was wrong with me. And the doctor just said to me if I was making an appointment with myself. And I said, I don't know what you mean, but if you're talking about exercise, it's not going to happen. He goes, you need to move your body for 30 minutes a day. I don't care what you do. You need
Hmm.
to exercise. And I said, fine, whatever. I went to the local YMCA and I signed up, and 30 minutes became an hour. And then the weight
Mhm.
started coming off. And from that point on, I never, again, it's been 10, 11 years, and I've never had another anxiety attack or anything of
Mm.
that nature.
Well, and
So
that's
I
really
would,
powerful for people to understand too, right? Like a lot of our mental health is not just driven by like some of these different things. We can help our mental health by
yeah,
eating some different foods, by giving our
absolutely.
bodies some exercise, some stress relief,
Yeah.
and we can relieve some of those anxieties and things that kind of creep in, right? Like sometimes we put boundaries on ourselves and then we get anxiety when we step out of those boundaries. But when you exercise and move yourself and you break new boundaries and you do new things, those become those become easier.
I believe exercise is the cure for any ailment you may have. I don't,
Mm,
I refuse to take any medication. I was like, I'm not going to take a medication. I'm going to go exercise. And that's what
mm.
I did.
Yeah, and so how has that evolved? I mean, just your I know what it does for me mentally, but what does exercise and giving that to yourself on a daily basis do for you?
To me, it is my saving grace.
Mm.
I have to exercise. I feel good when I'm done. Not every day is a good day. Not every day do I want to go
Oh,
to my
right. Like
garage.
sometimes you wake up and you're just like,
You're
oh
like,
my
it's
God,
not,
I
no.
really like, I can't do this today. But as
But
soon as you're done, you
I
feel good.
I focus on the after feeling.
Yeah.
I said I can't think about how I feel right now. I got to focus on what I'm going to get out of it at the end. How I'm going to feel, how proud I am going to be that I finished a workout. And then
Hmm.
just it just sets the tone for your day.
It really does. And do you do that for like a week or because a lot of what I try to help people with is understanding, what do you want to accomplish in a week? How do you feel? How do you want to feel? Like, what is that end result? And then you work yourself backwards. And so we don't always like the activities that are associated with feeling a certain way or getting to a certain point, but those activities are crucial for us to feel a certain way or to be a certain way, right? And for you to feel good and be happy and all of that other stuff and not have those anxieties. sometimes
Exactly.
Sometimes we have to wake out get up out of bed and go work out even when it's the last thing that we want to do. And it helps to have supportive people around you to help you with that. So do you find that support and obviously give that support to others?
Absolutely. We every morning I wake up about 6 o'clock, 5:45, 6, and we have a Zoom link where we all log on.
Hmm.
Aside from our exercise, we all log on. So all of my friends, clients, they're all there working out,
I love it.
and they're like they're doing it. Why can't I?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they're, we're not taught. We just say good morning, but we're all working out, doing a different workout. I turn on my TV, I start my workout, and they're there.
And it
And when
helps
I
with
see
the
myself
accountability,
slacking,
right? Like, yeah,
absolutely,
because it's like, okay, well then that even when you don't want to work out, it's like, okay, well, I've got a group of people that are expecting me. So that
exactly.
also helps. But then also, when you're not there for a few days, people get concerned, like, hey, is everything okay? And so if
I
you
do.
are having a bad day and or going through something, having this group, this community that you're building allows for that ability to be able to reach out to people and to help them through a situation, I'm sure. Have you found that?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes I'll be the last one on there because I got on a little late, and there's a girl that I see that she's like, and I'm like, come on, let's go. You got this. And you just stay there with her. And it'll take
Mm-hmm.
me another 20 minutes, but I'll stay there until she's done.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's like, thank you for staying on. And thank you for just pushing me. And I don't know who she is. She could be somebody else's client or whatever, but we're all there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're there for. It's a whole community.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you surprised yourself with the things that just from working out has given you? Have you surprised yourself with kind of like where you are now versus when you first started? Like, I can't even believe I have those thoughts about like what I could do or any of those things.
Well, the mindset changed in once I became part of Beachbody,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
was a gym rat for 6 years, for 5 years. I did the competition, and it's a very, I don't want to say toxic, but it's toxic because
Mm,
it's a very judgy environment. That
mm-hmm.
competition was a very judgy environment. So coming into this kind of environment where nobody's looking at how much you weigh, but how you feel, it was a big shift in my mind. I had to get out of my head myself and say, okay, they like me, you know. They don't
And
they
that's
don't
it,
care
dude.
that I'm 20 pounds heavier
Well, and that's
or
it. You know, once you know, for me, when I found a community like that, it's amazing how the perception was all in my head, of, you know, kind of, oh, you know, you've got to just lift heavy weights and do all of these different things. And, you know, it's such a negative mindset, but that's just kind of how I grew up. And I'm happy that I found yoga before I got into like moving a barbell around, because yoga taught me to leave my ego at the door, to just go in and to work on myself and try to be better than I was yesterday. And that's all that we're trying to do, right? Is just,
that's
you
what it
know,
is.
be better than we were yesterday. I'm not competing with anybody other than myself. And so once you find that support group and find that system, it's amazing what happens, right? Like you
Yeah.
really are able to kind of enjoy the things that you're doing,
I don't
enjoy the
need to be
groups
a
that,
size 2.
yeah,
I don't need
no,
to be a
and
size
you know what,
2. I
and
don't need
even
a
if,
six-pack abs. I need to love me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's first and foremost. And I tell everybody the same thing. Love you.
Yeah, yeah, you know, when I started on this journey for myself, I was about 290 pounds,
Oh,
and so I used to be a lot heavier and just unhealthy. And then through this transition, I've kind of understood that I can really move myself in the direction that I want. And so at one point I had gotten down to about 197 pounds. And but was looking at myself and I was just like, you know, this isn't the weight that I want to be. And so now that I'm back up to about 215, you know, it's like this is what's comfortable for me. This is who I like in the mirror. And you know, just because I was thinner back then doesn't mean that I liked what I saw. And so you know, that's where you want everyone to get to, right? Is that just enjoy that skin that you're in, regardless of really what the scale says, what feels good on your body. And that's, you know, and that's the fun part.
I mean, everybody wants to lose weight. It's a society thing. You want to get rid of those miserable 10 pounds, the 15 pounds. Great, that's fine. But do you feel good?
Mm.
Do you feel good? Do you feel healthy? What do your lab works say?
Yeah, and are you doing it for the right reasons? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, are you doing it just for yourself, or is it because, you know, you're trying to do something because of somebody else's perception? And so how do you help, you know, being in this Beachbody environment, how do you help your clients through these transitions?
You mean the transition of exercise
Well,
or
just even sometimes like mindset, right? Like, you know, you kind of get in and helping them see themselves sometimes a little bit differently than they
we are
currently already
very
are.
big, very big on personal development
Yeah.
and and picking up a book and just, feeding your mind with positivity, surrounding yourself with people who are going to cheer you on, fix your crown,
Mm-hmm.
and help you get through all the hurdles. But we're big on that. We're
Yeah.
very big on that. And it's nutrition, the exercise. I can't babysit you, I can't call you every morning and say, hey, remember, you got to get up and work out. You got to start wanting to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
It was a big transition for me, going from a gym where someone was pushing me all the time to coming home and saying, I have to push myself.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to do it for me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I help my clients. This is something this is a lifestyle. This is not just a 21-day thing, or that you paid a trainer for 3 months, because you can't keep paying that trainer every month, those $300, $600, whatever it may
Oh
cost.
no. Yeah.
So, this is for life. This is not a 30-day challenge. This is not a 6-month thing. This is for life. So little by little, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So little by little, we get you there.
And now, that just, I love that sentiment. It, really feels like you have, one, gone through some different, kind of adversities, and going back to school at 35, well, is certainly a challenge, right? Like having a family, working, and then going to school, like that's not an easy thing to do. So, you've done all of these things, which really allows you to then give perspective to other people that might be going through, an inflection point that they may have. And so when did you first kind of, I mean, obviously you enjoy helping people, or else you wouldn't kind of be doing what, you do. So like, where does all of that come from? Yeah. Like, is that something that you've always just kind of had a natural tendency for?
I just, my love language is giving.
Yeah.
I like giving gifts. I will send my friends something in the mail for no reason. That's just my love language. I'm not very good at accepting
Mm.
gifts. I'm like, oh, thanks. But that's my love language. So if I can help you, if you call me to talk to me for an hour about and cry on the phone, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. I like helping. I like, teaching or educating you on what I do, or how I do my business, or how an exercise is supposed to. I love it. I love it.
Hmm. What's been some of the most like challenging things that you've had to kind of work through for people? I'm sure there's, kind of ups and downs with that, with the whole process. What, is there a common theme that people sometimes seem to have that you're able to help them through?
Well, my biggest, thing sometimes is when people quit on themselves,
Mm,
that they don't give it a chance. They want quick, fast, and in a hurry. They want the 10 pounds gone now. They want to see a change in a week. And they just end up canceling everything and giving up on themselves.
mm,
And, you try to reach out, what happened, and they don't even know.
yeah.
They don't even know. So that's where it gets tough, where you're like, come
Hmm.
on, you can do this. I just don't have the drive and they'll give you the 7,000 excuses, and it's just fear.
Hmm.
Fear of trusting the process, fear that they're going to succeed. People are actually fearful of success.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Have
so I
you
believe
Have you ever had an inflection point like that where you had this kind of like fearful pause? You seem like you maybe don't have some of that. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to do it. Has there ever been something that has given you kind of that pause that was hard for you to push through?
I have that still at times. Can I really do this?
Yeah.
Am I talented enough? But you hear success stories and you hear all other people doing this and this. And I was like, how come I can't get the unicorn
Mm,
coach? The one that's just gonna run with the business. Why don't I? Why don't I? So I face a lot of that
yeah.
self-doubt, limiting beliefs, where I just have to stop. I read a lot,
Hmm.
uh, helps me get through those barriers, but certainly they're always there.
Mm,
Sometimes they come visiting in your head once in a while, and you're like, get out.
hmm.
Exactly. It happens. We don't have those limiting beliefs, and it's up to you to have that 2 millimeter shift and just Get it out of your minds and say, I can
Yeah.
do this. Why not?
Yeah,
No one
and
is different than me.
I find that for myself a lot. I'm a pretty sensitive person, so I have kind of highs and lows, and sometimes those lows can be, really self-limiting. And when I start to feel bad about myself, I want to throw the kitchen sink in there and just, kind of wallow in that misery.
I mean, it happened
But
to me today.
yeah, did it? Yeah,
Because today, we have a report that comes out, every second Friday, every quarter, right?
yeah.
And I'm not where I wanted to be. So I see all these people saying, I'm here, I'm here. You're like, I'm not there.
Mm,
So I shut down.
mm.
That's retract, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not talking to anyone today. That's just
You
my
get quiet, like,
I get quiet.
yeah, like you start to kind of get internal and just like, eh.
Mhm. Exactly. You're like, I'm not there. You start to doubt yourself, but it's
Well,
just a moment.
and exactly, it's just a moment. Well, there's something that I heard Oprah Winfrey talking to a group of students one time, and I've never been able to find that information afterwards, but I think it was like Stanford students, and she was sitting around, must have been like 20 students, and she was saying that regardless of how great things are or how horrible things are, right now it is just a moment in time. And that was a really powerful thing for me to kind of shift through, was that, okay, this is just a moment in time, this doesn't define anything about who we are, and it is just a period in our life, and it's just a matter of where that's going to go. um, and I think that's powerful, and mainly because things typically don't happen as quickly as we want them to, which allows us to stop, which doesn't allow us to continue and to keep that momentum going, because it's we're like
Cycle
we.
paralysis analysis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I read a book, or not read a book, but I used to watch a lot of David Goggins videos. He's a Marine. And he does
Oh,
a lot of ultra
yes, I know
maritime
him.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
love him.
and he talks about when you hit your wall, you've only gone 40%, and that was a powerful thing for me to understand. But once I did, then you really can kind of break through a lot of
He's
mental
amazing.
things, yeah, when you like, oh, I'm tired, I can't do anymore, and it's like, what are you tired
Yeah.
from, like?
Once you hear his story, you're like, okay.
Running on broken feet, on broken
Yeah, yeah,
legs,
yeah.
like,
He's outstanding.
so it becomes this mindset thing of like, what can we do? um but yeah, so when you look at your kind of career, obviously some of the most things that we're most proud of would be family and kids and things of that nature, but outside of that, when you look back at kind of what you've done, what you've pushed past, businesses that you've started, things of that nature, what's some of the most stuff that what's the maybe the one thing that you're most proud of?
My preschool.
Mm,
I love my preschool. But you know what? It's just I've never stopped moving.
mm,
I'm never content. When I say content, it's not that I'm not happy. I'm just I always want more. Okay, we recycle. What's the next one? We
mm-hmm,
recycle. What's the next one?
yeah,
It's just why?
mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't I
What's
have five streams of income? Here
exactly.
you have people like Jennifer Lopez, Kevin Hart. They sell clothes, they sell cologne, they do movies, they sing, they rap, those
Mm-hmm,
are all different streams of income. Jennifer Lopez now has a makeup line and she does perfume, gym clothes. She has a gym.
mm-hmm. When I
We have one of
started,
our coaches who has a now opened up a restaurant. Why not?
mhm. When I started this whole process for myself, it was after I took care of my mom who had Alzheimer's, and I did a lot of reflecting, and I kind of came up with this weekly accountability worksheet for myself that turned into a 90-day goal setting journal. Um, And one of the things that I wrote down first thing is multiple streams of income for retirement because, you know, I, that's what I'm working towards. That's what I always want. I want, money coming in from here, money coming in from here, money coming in from here. And that's the fun part about all of it. It's the reason why those folks have what they have and do what they do. They take advantage of all of those
Because they're
things.
willing to
And
do what people are not willing to do.
yeah. Hmm.
We are living in the most what if world right now, and
Hmm.
everything is what if. You're living what if. I
So try
mean,
it. And people, and that's really where people are definitely afraid of failure. I mean, it's
mhm,
like, okay, well, or like you said, that's success because then they don't know what to do with it. But they have to
yeah,
realize that more than likely their success is not going to come in a month. And so
yeah.
you're not going to go from, living paycheck to paycheck to having $1 million in the bank within, a 2 month period unless you win the lottery. So chances are you're going to learn how to adjust all the way through. So stop worrying about, all of those things and just be present,
I
right?
always say, you're working for someone else, making them money. Why not work for yourself? You always put in the extra hour, you do the extra task to get that other 25-cent raise or so that you're noticed. Why are you
Hmm.
not doing it for yourself
Hmm.
in your home?
Hmm.
You know, and we're not selling anything creepy. You're selling health and fitness, and you're a blessing to be a blessing.
Hmm.
That's it.
It really is. And then the ripple effect of that is amazing, right? I
Oh,
mean,
it's
and
so
and
rewarding.
so it must give you so much enjoyment when you see people who were hesitant in the very beginning and then all of a sudden become these powerhouse individuals. I know for my wife, once she started working out, she used to be like, oh, I've got no upper body strength. Oh, I got no this. But then she started giving that to herself. And now anytime we need to move something around the house, she's like, well, let's go. And it's just like she can do all of these things. She no longer,
Energy,
yeah.
everything. And
And
like
she
I
sees
get a lot
herself
of people,
strong.
I want to have your body, or I want to look like you. And it's like, I didn't look like this, in a month. I've been at this for years.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've been at this for years. So I can stop working out for a month and lose all my muscle tone because the body is just, it's that way.
It's that
And I
way.
can get back and do weights, and my muscle memory will come right back.
Yeah, it really does. And but it's just about keeping like I've had a vision in my head of what I've wanted, and that has just evolved um,
Mhm.
over time. But the the goal, especially losing both of my parents early, was just to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can, and and the activities have changed because kind of my ability has changed, but that goal has still remains and will always be that same thing, is just to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can.
That's it. It's
um,
one body. It's all we got.
that's it. So the other thing that I want to just talk about, is family. And so you are a huge family person, and being friends with Gina and Omar,
Mhm.
and marrying into that family, it's such a warm and cozy feeling. And so,
Oh yeah.
um, you know, I love the energy that you have with around celebrating and family and just being close with the people that you're close with, right? And so, was that something that was always for your family? Was that just
Oh
something that you
yeah.
kind of grew up with? Yeah.
I love being around family. I
Hmm.
love having people over my house. I love hosting parties. I'll find any excuse to throw a party. Any. I'm like, my daughter lost her tooth. Let's throw a party. For real. I'm like, we're having a party. And it doesn't have to be the whole full blown out party, but you know, just having 10 friends over and having a great time.
Well, because it's nice to laugh and it's nice to relax, right? We have so much stress, and if we're not doing anything to alleviate that stress, it really becomes this boring, mundane world, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you something. One thing I teach, as far as nutrition goes, is I was so restrictive in dieting when
Mm,
I was competing. You know, I couldn't go out with my family. I couldn't do this because I was so restricted to asparagus and tilapia and cod and bleh, food, right? So now I'm like, live your life. You want to have the pizza? Have the pizza. No, you can't have it every day.
yeah, and don't eat,
Right?
10 slices, but you can, enjoy
No.
the food.
Enjoy the food, live. You want to have the ice
And
cream, enjoy it.
there's a guy who owns a gym in our area that started a nutrition program because he was trying to follow the macros and all of this stuff, and he's like, okay, at the end of the day I was left to eat fat, and it's like, so what do I do? Like, how am I supposed to just take, like, just throw an avocado on a celery leaf and eat it? Like, it's just not what how I want to finish my calories for the day, And so he started kind of this freedom nutrition where it's just like, eat the foods that you want, have an idea of where you should be, and don't overeat, but don't undereat as well, because we need calories. Like, we have to take
Yeah.
in calories in order to do all of the fun stuff that we want to do for ourselves. But yeah, enjoy the
I tell
food.
everybody, I go, we're smart enough to know we shouldn't be eating, processed foods. We shouldn't be eating the fast foods, except Chick-fil-A. Everybody can have Chick-fil-A. Everybody gets a free pass. Stay away from those foods, stay away from the processed sugars. We all
Hmm.
know what we shouldn't eat,
Hmm.
and just stick to
But when you
clean.
do, it's okay. Just enjoy it, like, and then don't beat
Exactly.
yourself up about it. You're just like, okay, I know, I know damn well that I'm going into this weekend, and especially for me, like, something like, I guess I have season tickets to the Patriots, and so if I'm gonna go tailgate on Sunday, it's no
Chicken
holds
wings and
barred. I'm gonna
beers.
go. I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm not worried about my calories that day. But come Monday,
Exactly.
I focus a little bit more, and
You
so
dial
yeah.
in and then that's it. That's
Hmm.
it. But I love, the weekends. Hey, let's throw a couple steaks on the barbecue. Let's throw a couple burgers, get in the pool, whatever. Drink a couple Prosecco's. Have all the fun. All the
Have all the
fun.
fun, and it really, because it is so important. And so, how do you stay focused on things that you want for yourself? You've achieved a lot and you continue to achieve a lot. And so how do you, continue to evolve your goals, continue to keep all of the priorities in front of you?
I really have learned to manage my time. That is the biggest thing. At the beginning, I was all over the place. What do I do first? What do I do here? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Hmm.
So it's just managing my time. And I wake up before my family wakes up.
Hmm.
In the morning, I read my devotional, or read my book of faith and whatnot, and just get into a good mindset. I work out. By the time they wake up, I'm done with most of the things that
Hmm.
I like to accomplish in a day.
Hmm.
And then the rest of the day is, I set out 2 hours to work my business and whatnot.
And so that's a huge part that I think that people don't necessarily kind of understand. It's really about the way that you set your day and the way that you attack your day. You take care of yourself, and so the more that you take care of you, then you have greater capacity to help others. But if you're not taking care of yourself, then you don't have the full capacity to help other people. And I really learned that when I was taking care of mom, because I wasn't taking care of myself. And I looked back and I was like, I gave her everything that I had, 100%, even 125%.
Mhm.
But I could have given her a better version of me. And so now that's what I think about is this version of me. And if I don't take care of me,
Nothing else functions.
then you don't get that best version, and it's a disservice to me and it's a disservice to you. And so that's
But
really,
nothing else works.
yeah.
If you don't take care of you first, nothing else works.
Hmm.
So,
It's so true.
my kids, by the time my kids are up and my husband wakes up, they don't have to worry about, oh, I got to go to the gym or I got to go to the garage and work out for an hour, or I'm sorry, I'm present.
Hmm.
I'm present. I do what I have to do because, they're in school, virtual school.
Yeah.
So I'm still here, but I take advantage of that and I work on my business for 2, 3 hours, do what I have to do. So my evenings it's for them.
Yeah. And so how was that, for you guys the past year? I know, I mean, obviously it's been tough. But business wise, for school wise, how have things evolved for you?
Well, it's an up and down.
Yeah.
We had to close the school last year for a couple months, but we're back up and running. They
Hmm.
just announced that we can have our full capacity back.
Oh, good.
So that's a plus. But it was, scrambling around who goes home, who doesn't go home, what teacher can work a full day, half a day. So that was rough. Um, but my kids are doing good.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they've adjusted. They're very independent,
Hmm.
but I've taught them that way. um,
Well, and there's a lot, and regardless, I think that the one thing that everyone will now understand that we all have in common is that, COVID gave us all stress last year. Now, it's everyone had varying levels of stress. Some folks had a lot more stress than others, but we all had stress. And so it's really a matter of understanding that, hey, if we be a little bit more sympathetic to what people are going through, um,
Absolutely.
then we don't have to necessarily act in a certain way, right? Like you have a conversation with somebody and they may say something, but in people were dealing with so much stuff that instead of just assuming something, just having that empathetic kind of vibe that, hey, maybe they're going through something, and I think that it just
I
allows
I
people
uh,
to.
I message a lot of strangers on my Instagram, that just like my pictures or watching my stories. I reach out to them, and it's never like, "Hey, do you want to come and work out with me?" No, it's, "How are you? Thank you so much for loving my post or my whatever.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
are you? How are you hanging in there?"
Yeah.
And sometimes they come and they give me 3 paragraphs of what they're going through, and I'm like, "Whoa," you know. But that's network marketing. That's building relationships, and I talk to a lot of strangers.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's wild with doing this podcast. It has I love having conversations. I was an executive recruiter for 14 years, and so I just enjoy people's stories and understanding things. But it really has allowed me to have some really remarkable conversations and really connect with people in a completely different way, which is really what I love. And so this has really been a lot of fun. But for me, it was, talking about first steps. This was a challenging first step for me because I was a little apprehensive about the whole thing because I didn't even know where to go. I had to ask a buddy, like, how do you even get a podcast? Like, where do
Oh
I go
wow.
on my phone? But then it was just like, okay, well, I did my first video, and then it was like, okay, now I know what I want to do and where I want to take it, and um, but just getting over that first step is challenging for folks. But we all have it in us. It's not so scary. It never is very scary.
No, no. Once you get over that hump of the fear, you're like, oh, that's it.
Hmm.
I
That
got this.
wasn't so bad.
No, I mean, when I first got into coaching, I was like, oh, what did I do? Why did I say yes? How am
Hmm.
I going to go out there and talk to people? I don't do that. I mean, I do, but
Mm.
don't. Now
Yeah,
it's
but
my
now it's different.
business.
Yeah.
Now it's what
Yep.
I have to do. So, I always say, with I opened up the preschool. I had to go door to door, stand in front of a Publix and advertise. So to me, my social media is my storefront. I
You
don't
know,
have a
it's when I first graduated college, one of the jobs that I had was in sales, and it was selling and advertising for a competitive phone book. And I heard so many no's that it really developed that thick skin of like, hey, listen, if rejection is going to be a part of everything that you do, and the more that you get comfortable with it and don't take it personal and just move on to the next, it becomes kind of what you have to do. But
yeah. You got to grow in this business thick skin. And like just like yesterday, I messaged a girl and she was like, "Oh, I've done that before. I'd rather lift heavy and get a better workout." And I said, "Well, you can get a great workout at home for 30 minutes a day.
hmm
You can lift heavy if you want to, but you don't have to lift heavy to get results." So point being, she was like, "No, no, no. I just please don't contact me again." Okay. At
yeah.
the beginning, I would have been like, "Oh my God." She said no to me. Oh my God, what I do? And it would have analysis paralysis. I would have stopped because
Yeah.
I gotta know. And I'm just like, what's the worst that can happen? Say no. Okay, next.
hmm hmm
I
and
can't
that
help
and
you.
that's an important thing for what you're doing, and the individual that you are allows other people to kind of flourish, right? To say that I don't stop, I go after what I want, and just because it's not right for somebody else doesn't mean that it's not right, and it's just not right for that person, and we move forward. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like,
There's
this world
millions
is
of
made
people
up
in this
of
world.
7 billion people. Like, not everyone, nor should everyone, enjoy the same things. Like, we all have different personalities. We all have different things that we find. And yeah, we should all move. And so even if it's walking, just go out and do something for 30 minutes a day. The walking has a
Exactly.
huge health benefit, both physically and mentally. So, our bodies are meant to
I
move.
smell the air.
Yeah.
Walk. That's one thing that happened a lot with COVID is that people were outside
hmm
just walking,
hmm
riding a bike. And I was like, I've never felt so much family time and really stopping to smell the flowers
Yeah.
kind of
Back when
thing.
it first started, it was March and April. Things were just starting to get nice back here up in the Northeast. And, we were walking, my wife and I went for like probably 4 walks a day. Like, and it was just nice to be outside and take that break. And it was such a,
Conversation.
oh yeah. And it's amazing when you start talking to people and they develop a new routine about going for a walk or spending time, with their spouse or partner. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh yeah, we have great conversations now. And it's just like, well, yeah, when you put your phones down and you spend time with each other, you're forced to talk.
You
And
had nothing to do because you couldn't go anywhere.
yeah, yeah.
You were
And
forced
then,
to talk to your family.
well, but then it becomes, oh, I really enjoyed this. I really missed this.
Yeah,
This was something
yeah.
that really, so now how do I hope as things start to kind of open back up, that we
Hmm.
don't lose all of the things that people learned this past year, and we don't go
Absolutely.
right back into old habits and forget about all of the things that we really did enjoy about what last year taught us, because um
It was a
because it
lesson.
it
It
taught
was
us all a
everyone
lesson.
here took a lesson.
hmm
It's just how are you going to come out of it?
hmm
What did
yeah.
that lesson teach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Adriana, this was an amazing conversation. I love the inspiration that you give to everyone, that the role model that you are for people to emulate, to follow their passions, to take those first steps and just try. And you never know what's going to come from everything, but you've done a great job for yourself and your family and the people that are around you, because everyone just talks about really what a shining star and the energy that you bring into a room. And
Oh, thank
so
you.
thank you for giving that to the world. Thank you for
Thank
being
you for
that
having
role
me.
model. And it was really a great conversation. I truly appreciate your time.
Likewise, thank you so much. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
so
can't
much
wait
for
to
having
get down to Florida so that we can have a conversation
me.
in person.
I know,
Hopefully this year. I'll keep you posted through Gina.
I know.